Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. So, hey, I've had an interesting, I don't sleep a lot. I sleep 3, 4 hours a day. Sometimes, if my wife might have a day off, I might sleep a little extra because I love my wife, 5, 6 hours. Usually not. So, I'm like up and going around at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I think to myself, I had a very interesting day yesterday. Let me preface that with that. I had an email by a gentleman out of Massachusetts, a guy by the name of Mike. He emailed me, and I was busy with some work-related stuff yesterday, so I couldn't get right back to it, but I agreed to call him today, and it was a very interesting phone call, and he agreed to let me put a portion of that on here. And it has everything to do with Ed and embarrassment. But before that had happened, I was over at Ironclad's channel talking to Katarina Schultz. Well, not talking to her, leaving a message, wondering how much money will it take to get an interview with you. And upon investigating Ed's Elvia Limited company and his office manager out of San Francisco, if memory serves me correctly, I think she was making like $1 million a year. There's big money in this. Which is to say that the people have made a pretty penny off of Ed's reputation. I've already shown, I had Camp Gagnon right here, and the first thing that I did was show him and his team all of my credentials. I've posted videos with my credentials in it, and just now I gave Mike my personal phone number. And the reason why I can do this and substantiate everything that I'm saying is because I'm not hiding anything. And I think that a lot of people stand to lose a lot of money and stand to be embarrassed because this guy's gone so far and people didn't really vet him. And it's more than just me. There's the guy that has the security company in San Diego, the other guy that was talking about him, other people on Borderland Beat forum. They've been calling this guy out for years, except unlike any of those guys, I actually was in Mexico with a Mexican uniform. So I'm in a unique position. But the thing that's interesting is yesterday I was thinking about doing a GoFundMe or a crowdfunder thing to come up with enough money to get Katarina Schultz, because I asked her on her Ironclad video in the comment section, how much money will it take to get a half hour of your time to where I can have an interview with you and ask you some very pointed questions? Because it's not just Ed at this point. It's a whole industry to where these people, I got to polish this thing, where these people make money off of selling you the American public lies. None of which is proven or vetted. And I get that it's kind of an entertainment industry. But a little bit about myself. When I came back to the United States, like I said, I got a job at Peekskill, New York. In Peekskill, New York. I lived in Brooklyn, and I would drive up 87 and Highway 9 every day to go to work. It's about an hour, and I would drive back home to Brooklyn at night. And it was working on stuff for F-16s and military fighter aircraft, F-18, a couple different programs. F-22 Raptor and F-35 weren't there. However, it was along those lines. And then also, later, I got a job for a Canadian aerospace firm in Queens. You guys can look this all up, and I'm not going to tell you the exact company names to avoid any legal issues. However, there are aerospace companies in Peekskill and aerospace companies in Queens that are of Canadian ownership, and I've got all the emails to prove it, to where you can definitely go digging into my background and find out exactly who I am, even right now with the data that I've given you. So yesterday when I'm wondering, should I get a GoFundMe or a crowdfunder to try to come up with enough money? Because I personally have offered $1,000 of mine to get Ed on camera for a half hour, or Katarina Schultz, or Vincent Vargas, or any of these people. And Someone told me in my comments on YouTube one time that that's small potatoes, that it's not very much money, and you're right. This bike that you're looking at right here, I worked 2 jobs, and I do continue to work 2 jobs. I worked 2 jobs and paid one of my friends a couple grand per month to come up with the scratch to buy this bike. I love this bike. It's a custom chopper by Pure Steel Customs. And this bike is something that I've dreamed about for my entire life, man. You see the beautiful flames on it. It's just so beautiful. I love this thing, man. We've got a video somewhere with the startup. I'm not going to start right now. But I love this bike. And I thought, I don't want to do crowdfund or GoFundMe. So I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, what if I offer Ed? My wife's like, I see that you're frustrated. And I'm like, I'm not frustrated. I just want people to tell the truth, and I don't want anything for free from anybody. What if I offered $1,000 in this bike right here to Ed to do a half-hour sit-down interview with me? And I think Ed's probably pretty rich at this point with all the government contracts and his non-permissive. What MOS is that? Military Occupational Specialty. What is that? Non-permissive environment specialist. That's nothing I've ever heard of. And then people with security companies in San Diego squawking Ed too. So I start talking to this law enforcement personnel, and he gave me permission to put the phone call on, but getting to this bike. And Katrina, I thought, if I come up, how much would it cost for a half hour of your time? 10 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. My wife tells me no amount of money is going to get you an interview with those guys. They don't need your money. What you represent to them is embarrassment. Embarrassment of them being all wrong. And then so I have this phone call with this guy this morning, and I see that my perception is not alone. That I'm right to be thinking this. I went down to enlist for this country 7 different times. They turned me down each time, but that belies a belief in our culture, our society, what we stand for as a nation. And what we stand for as a nation, and when you go to get a uniform, and I didn't get an American uniform, I got a Mexican uniform, but when you put that uniform on, you are making an agreement. You are making a pact to do the right thing, even at the cost of your life or everything else. And bottom line, the purpose of life, really, is are you going to do the right thing? Regardless of what it costs. And I had gotten away from that in my adolescence because of marital problems and things that affect children. But I found my way back to that mantra. Are you going to do the right thing? That's something I believe in passionately. Having been to Russia, having been in the Bering Sea, having been in Mexico, having been all over to almost every single state in the United States, at my age, it's easy to get jaded. And sometimes when you think about what do you want to accomplish with your life, you draw a blank. But then thinking about this, I am passionate about doing the right thing, and sometimes I fall short. So I thought, my Harley is not going to get me an interview with Ed. My Harley is not going to get all the people that failed to vet Ed appropriately, with him having relatives that work in police in Tijuana. They could easily get a picture on base or something like that, but there's no pictures. And I saw on Instagram, there's a couple things that are interesting that happened just yesterday. I don't want to get you guys all distracted, but people haven't vetted Ed the way that they should have. And I've been in contact with the Tijuana or Baja California State Police, which is now in its 3rd version of it. They had the version that Ed said that he worked for, then they had the other version that it changed into, and now we're on the 3rd embodiment or corporation of state police in Baja California, Mexico. So trying to get Ed tracked down without his first name or middle name is Ed or Eduardo Lalo. What's his real legal name? first and middle, and then what is his maternal or his paternal last name, so you can actually get human resources there. And bottom line is I need to go in there with a picture and ask him, validate if he did work there, in what capacity, because Ed won't give that to us. And so I want to put out my stuff. So I put out my credentials, everything on a video that you guys can see it. I give you enough on me to where you can dig up dirt on me. And if you want, I'm pretty good about posting emails and substantiating evidence or corroborating evidence to where people know that when I'm telling you something, I'm not full of shit, right? I want to pause because there's just so much to this. I can't buy. No amount of money that I have is going to buy an interview with Ed or with Katrina if they're paying their office manager $1 million a year or whatever it is. That's money that I can't touch. Or operations manager. I got to look that back up. It's something that escapes me at the moment. But what I can do is I can put myself out there in a sincere way. And I want to say this. There's no shame. There's no shame in not being good enough. My grill, the way that I talk, my humble abode, shooting this out of my basement garage like Candace Owens shoots her podcast out of her basement. There's no shame in not being good enough. You know what there is great shame in? Not doing your best. Not doing your due diligence. Not adhering to your principles. And so when you get that uniform and you put it on, you're making a pact to do the right thing no matter what, at a cost, no matter what, because it's the right thing. And when I think about America and I think about freedom, I think about my own perspective towards law enforcement and government, and even personally against myself and even against people that I used to call friends from my adolescence and young adulthood. Not that I don't care about them as individuals, I do, but our paths no longer are going along the same course. I think about what I believe in as a human, and I believe in doing the right thing. So that's why I do this. I don't have a Patreon. Someday this could become a business. But getting into yesterday's interesting day and this early morning, just a few hours ago, I saw that Ed on his Instagram, my wife, we run multiple systems here. I have Linux, right? I've got Apple, right? That's another one. I've got Microsoft OS or operating system. And then we've also got Android. That's another one. And then we've got the Mac or Apple iPhone that my wife has. And so we go on to go check Ed's Instagram because I can't get into it. I can pull it up on Google, but I can't go to it from Instagram. Technically speaking, there's a few things that could be going on there. I don't want to bore you guys with the technicalities of it, but basically, when you transmit information from your electronic device, whatever it is, there's going to go through several connections between your actual electronic device and the website or the server that you're trying to pull up. So what could be happening when I'm trying to access Ed's Instagram, he's got me blocked and has had me blocked for a long time. It could be my Google account that's on my phone from Android representing or giving an idea of who I am, and then Ed's Instagram account blocking that. But also, let me have a little drink of coffee, please. Bear with me. There are ways around that with VPN or other ways. Doing this business, because I've got like a small YouTube business now, I have my normal professional email. I have the tortoise lung email that you guys got. I have 2 more emails over at yandex.ru, right? I've got an email from the Czech server because I don't like to just depend on Google on their email. And I have 3 Proton emails. So that's 8 emails. And you can open up an Instagram account. When you block someone on Instagram, you can't block emails ahead of time or accounts ahead of time. So Ed's got my main email blocked. He's got my YouTube email or account blocked. But I didn't realize that he had that blocked. And I can do a video on it if I have to and post it. And maybe I'll do that later, where I go online, I go pull up an email, for example. I don't want to bore you, so I'm going to try to get through this quickly. But go up to an email, go to Gmail, for example, put in something like John Smith, where there's going to be a gazillion people that have that email on video, real time. Generate a suggestion from Gmail. Hook that up and get that email. Have it sent. Have that email used to create an Instagram account. And for whatever reason, when I go through my emails, and I've gone through like 3 of them now in addition to the other 2, trying to access Ed's Instagram account, I'm blocked from it. I can't even pull it up, which is weird. That's really weird. And it's not a Gmail thing either, because I removed that from the equation by going directly to the application, downloading the Instagram application, and logging into the Instagram application, which isn't going to go through Google Chrome to get to Ed's Instagram account, and try to get it this way. And I still can't find them, but my wife can pull Ed up like it's nobody's business. And I see that in July, whatever, he posted a picture of him in training, and then posted a picture of him with some guy in a tan tack vest and other stuff. Post your credentials. Post pictures of you in a truck, Ed. Post pictures of you on a Sona's security detail or whatever. I have pictures of myself in a theater where I'm guarding a bunch of people in uniform in public in broad daylight, around a whole bunch of people, to where it's not a photo shoot, dude. But here's the bigger question. Ed's got me blocked, has had me blocked for a while. Are you running scared, Ed? Because you know what? Every single person in law enforcement, I don't care who it is, every single person that you've had a professional interaction with, I don't care who they are, they all mostly believe in doing the right thing. And I know that they get a lot of crap these days. Some of it's warranted, some of it's not. But they basically believe in doing the right thing, right? And they're all logical. They're those 2 things. And so logic dictates that if you keep me blocked, and if I've got this thing out there, and if I can't even give you my Harley, because I've been trying to give you $1,000 and I've had crickets for the last year, and you've got all this money and you're interested in doing the right thing, why wouldn't you just post your credentials or your first and your last name? Because you can't be worried about security at this point. My wife says I'm frustrated. I'm not frustrated, Ed. My wife's incorrect in that. I'm thorough. When you go to training, they're going to make you cold and uncomfortable, deprive you of sleep. There's some other things that go on too that we're not going to get into. But it's not a comfortable, pleasurable experience. And all of this geared to teaching you that you are going to put up with or do whatever it takes or whatever is necessary until you achieve your objective. Period. I don't care what country you work for. I don't care what organization you are a part of. That is it. So, Ed, yo soy agente de escolta de mi general. I'm an agent for my general. And even though I'm not currently working there, the embodiment of who I am will always be that. I am never going to let this go, and I'm not emotional about it. I'm not frustrated. I am thorough. And I'm thorough whether I look good. I'm thorough whether I'm sitting in my home studio or whether I'm renting a studio for $5,000 a month. And everybody else attached to it, if there's some crow to eat, then you should just eat it and move on, like the Tim Kennedy thing. So many people have lied and have done so much, and there's so much money being made with security and training and everything else and knives, that if Ed is proven to be the fraud that I believe he is, and I'm saying believe, I don't want to prove it, then a lot of people have a lot of crow to eat, and they're going to lose a lot of money, right? I'm putting this out there knowing that I'm exposing myself to the same cartel that Ed says that he feared and fled, but then goes back to live amongst in Tijuana and do podcasts with people that are directly, admittedly involved with selling drugs for them and have Sicario hitman friends for the same cartel Ed says that he was busting. And you're going to hear some of that reflected in the phone call that I'll include with this. To my viewers, those of you that do the right thing, hey, I might not always agree with everything that goes on in the course of freedom in this country, but I do believe that most of you are good people. And I hope that you believe that I'm a good guy too. I'm not doing this, man. I work all the time. I went to bed at like 4 o'clock and I was up at 8. So I had 4 hours of sleep and I'm going to work all day and all night. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm running out and working some more. And I'm going to edit it and publish it so that you guys can make up your mind or see what you guys think about this. And maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. And to be honest, my short videos, they get thousands of views. My long form videos like this, they don't get that much. But if it reaches the right person, it's worth my investment in time. Investment in time. About that briefly, I speak several languages. I speak Russian, I speak Spanish, and I speak English, and I speak them all fluently, and I was even learning Arabic because I wanted to go guard fuel convoys in Afghanistan. I was learning Chinese, Mandarin Chinese to be specific, not Cantonese. And in order to have a working vocabulary in Mandarin Chinese, you need to know about 5,000 words. And in Chinese, there's about 55,000 characters. I could get in how to write Shi, which means river. But the bottom line is it was not worth my investment in time to learn that language because I wasn't going to use it in order to generate a significant return on my investment in time. My investment in time on this is something I'm not going to waver or be wishy-washy about. I am going to see this through because I earned that uniform. Other people in this country have earned their uniform. I went down to enlist in this country 7 different times, and I've spoken about that before. In fact, I think I just spoke about it in the beginning of this video. Meaning that they can even kill me if necessary. That they can capture me, torture me, behead me. When I went to Mexico, I was afraid of getting shot in the head and have my head cut off. I'm no longer fearful of that because they're not sending me anywhere I'm not already going. And I made that commitment to do the right thing. And if I'm wrong, I will be the first to publicly admit it. Ed Calderon, Gafe 423, Katerina Schultz. I went in to go get a tattoo removed one time. There was a woman, we went to Tijuana, we had a weekend there, and I was in love because I was young and dumb. Got her name tattooed on my neck after about 6 weeks. And then when I got married, I didn't want my second wife to have to look at that name. So I went to go get it removed from laser surgery. I'm just going to show you kind of like my mentality. And because it's important. I didn't want my ex-wife to have to look at that because it's incorrect, it's inappropriate, and it wasn't the right thing to do. So I had to get that tattoo removed one way or another. And when I went to go get it lasered off, the guy told me that he wanted like $5,000 and it was going to be a year to get it taken off. And I didn't have that. And I told him, you know what, I'll do this for $15 worth of MAP gas in 15 minutes. And I burned it off right here with a blowtorch. Hurt like hell. I hope you can see that. It's right there. Your skin thickens up and crisps like bacon when you're peeling it off. And you got to rip those scabs off too, which really hurts because when you have a burn wound, it really bonds to the skin when you have that level of trauma and 3rd-degree burns. And I did that because you can argue process. You can argue the way that you're going to get something done. You can argue the way that you're going to do it. But you cannot argue the results. And so that tattoo needed to go. And I'm not proud of that. In retrospect, I would have much preferred that I'd never been that misguided when I was young and got someone's name that clearly we are not together. And I'm so grateful at the same time that my current wife, who I love dearly, doesn't have to look at that. And I'm very honest with my wife, extremely honest. So I tell her everything, even what her name was, what she looks like, etc. So, commitment to doing the right thing, even when it hurts, even when it's inconvenient. Doing what you say you're going to do. I told that gentleman yesterday I would give him a call today, and I certainly did. So I know that we have this culture in common as Americans, even if we disagree on the limits or constraints of freedom. I like to believe that the majority, 90% of people that do go out and find a uniform, or even people that just get up every day and go to work to make their own way, pay their bills, do the right thing. They have a commitment to it. So I could put this bike up and be like, hey, Ed, if you give me 30 minutes of your time, I will give you my beloved motorcycle. I love this motorcycle so much, Ed. But I don't think that you'd do it. And I don't think that if I came up with a GoFundMe or a crowdfunder, that even if I came up with $100,000, I don't think that you would give me 30 minutes of your time, even though I'm supposedly your brother. The Mexican flag. You won't do it. So let me pause this and go over to the other thing. One sec. It is a given when you put on that uniform that you make a pact with the devil, like in the movie with Tommy Lee Jones, with where he's the sheriff. No Country for Old Men. Where he's talking about he knows that he might go out and meet his maker, but he doesn't want to go out and meet something that he doesn't understand. When you put on a uniform, you make a pact with death. You make a pact with yourself. And so this security thing, PERSEC, personal security, operational security, etc., it doesn't hold any weight when you got 12 million views between both your Joe Rogan episodes and your Sean Ryan episode. And Sean, I was talking about you on that phone call this morning. You were brought up. You're probably the person that will give me the break that I need in order to pull the covers off this whole thing. And I believe you to be the real deal. All the SEAL guys, I believe them to be the real deal, but Ed, I do not believe to be the real deal. And Gafe 423, I'm questioning him too because of me giving him his phone number and it being a couple weeks and he hasn't called. So when I call and ask him for his phone number, or email him and ask him for his phone number rather, as the case is, that I don't have an email from him anymore. The Elizabeth Varis, when I look her up, it comes back as a blank. So just to round things out, because I know I spin around in circles a little bit when I talk, but I get to where I'm going eventually. You know, I need to look up the security people, the licenses that were given by the state of California in the area of San Diego and Imperial Beach, to find out which person was talking about having to work directly with Ed. And you know, sometimes you're going to run into a lot of dead ends. But to try to substantiate or corroborate some of the other people that have had things that are less than desirable for Ed Calderon and his Elvia Limited Productions, I made a commitment to do the right thing. Other people have made a commitment to do the right thing. And Sean, Ryan, sir, I hope that you make a commitment to do the right thing too, because people should be told the truth. You went through BUD/S and you became a SEAL and earned the Trident, and then you went on to become a CIA contractor. And I know I've been critical of you, Sean. And I know I've been critical of you too, Joe. And sometimes rightfully, you know, I've reached out in good faith to both of you guys, and neither one of you guys will give me the time of day. And maybe you still won't, but I'm going to be sitting right here doing the right thing because it's what I have to do in order to be able to live with myself. And if people are being untruthful and there's a lot of embarrassment and crow to eat and money to be lost, we should still have integrity. You know, I learned a lot earning that uniform. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about a lot of things. So I don't want to bore you guys with the great big long hours long video of me rambling on incessantly. But I definitely do want to put this out there so people have something to ponder. I'm not asking anyone for any money because, to be honest, I think I could come up with $100,000, and I don't think Vincent Vargas, Ironclad Productions, or Katerina Schultz, or any of the other normal list of the usual suspects would ever even give me the time of day, even if I walked in there with $500,000. I don't think they would do it. And also, I want to end it with this. Not only would they not do it, and I think I've spoken about this in a different video previously, but not only would they not do it, but there could be criminal implications involved too if these guys are actually giving training out under false pretenses to where they're actually lying to the federal government about his background. And then there's that whole can of worms that it would open up to, the criminal implications of lying to the federal government or any state or county government or city government, giving training to law enforcement personnel or military personnel when your background isn't what you say it is or purport it to be. So then there's that whole thing. You don't have to like me. Trust me, there's been a lot of times in my own life when I haven't liked myself and I've had to correct things about myself, and it's not pleasant. But you got to do it, you know? So I hope that you enjoy what I put out. There's a lot of stuff going on. Trump going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. They're down there pounding kids on that island. There's so much wrong in the world that the only thing that I can really do is make sure that when the piece of trash on the floor is in front of me, that I pick it up, and that when I screw up, that I own it and fix it, correct course, and then I do my very best to do the right thing. Going to work, being self-sufficient, being faithful to my wife, kind to the people that I encounter, owning up and fessing up when I do something wrong. So, you know, people, they don't have to like me. I'm not frustrated. I'm not emotional. I'm not devoid of emotion either. I have a great fountain of emotion inside of me, or feelings about certain things that I feel strongly about. The Star Spangled Banner. And then also in Himno Nacional de México. Mexicanos el grito de guerra. Or, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held? Or, Россия спасения наша держава, Россия любимая наша страна, могучая воля, великая слава, твое достояние на все времена. Славься, Отечество, наша свободная. I'm sitting here singing 3 different national anthems to you, and each one of them evokes strong feelings to doing the right thing. No matter what your uniform looks like, and no matter who you are, if you're a man or a woman or even a child, and you hear one of those things and it's attached to you in any way, it means that you got to man up and fight for what's right and do the right thing, right? I don't particularly like my voice. I don't like the way my voice sounds on my podcast, but it's the voice that God gave me. And when I was a kid, my mom and my dad didn't have a lot of money, and we went to school with holes in our pants, holes in our shoes, but we went to school and we got the best grades we could. At least while they were married. After they got divorced, that changed. But you show up and you do the best you can with what you got. So that's what I'm giving you. That's my message to you today. I'm going to put the phone call in right now. I'm going to edit out his number because I don't want, but he did give me the permission to record it. And I'm going to put that there for your viewing pleasure and listening pleasure. and you guys can do what you want. Sean, Joe, I've been here for a while now, and I've been talking about this for quite a while. I've been emailing you guys. In fact, Joe, I think I was even emailing you while I was still at work in Mexico, dude. So, love to roll with you sometime, man. I'm not even a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm more of a judo thing, but, you know, I'm willing to have Sean Strickland punch this pretty face up and give me some more cauliflower a little bit. I'm not the biggest and the baddest, but you know what? I will definitely show up to the barbecue, no matter where that barbecue takes me, because that's what God has put me here to do. I'm here to face everything that he wants me to face, and I'm going to do it. And right now, Ed, you're on the list. Cheers.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, James. Dave.
Hey, what's up, my friend?
Nothing. How you doing?
Good. Hey, my real name is Mike because I'm a retired police officer. I don't put a lot of information as you don't either out there.
Right.
But,
it's good to meet you, Mike.
Good to meet you. You caught my eye, and I too had my doubts when I was watching this guy. But I just wanted to tell you that I don't. Is there any way of getting a hold of that guy who owned a security company?
You know, he's got a Reddit. He's got a Reddit thing, and his last post was like 4 or 5 years ago, if memory serves me correctly. Like, you're a cop, so you've probably worked cases, and in Mexico, I'm not investigative police. They break it up differently down there. I'm more like a SWAT type deal, and then they have ministry agents. But even still, being law enforcement, you remember details, and so one of the details I remember is that guy had a Reddit thing, and he had something to do with a cat on other threads that he was doing. He did have. I will have to dig into trying to find more information on his security company. But he does have some other issues where he had, so I could maybe dig into places where they treated cats and animals, because he did have a thing where he was going, it had nothing to do with Ed Calderon, and had to do with his own personal animals, and start looking into the details on that.
Well, think of it. If he's an American citizen working in California as a security guard, and he was high strung, telling people to take their hands out of their pockets, I recall reading that, and that he got fired because he was taking down old people and treating them like criminals.
Right.
You'd win your argument because he's an American citizen, so how's he being an undercover operative in Mexico?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how he would do that. And the reason why I can say that comfortably is because, just like you, I might be missing the Boston accent, but I'm an American citizen, and I actually went to Mexico and did everything I said I was doing, so the odds of that happening are like 1,000,001. The stars aligned for me to do it, but having Ed do that is completely, highly improbable, man.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at him, and the guy also said, if I remember, because I read that on your website, you could put that whole article up about it. He had family in Tijuana who were police officers, so he could easily get access to pictures with the weapons and pictures with the vest if his uncle is a cop, like my kids posing with me for Halloween with my shit.
100%. That's where I'm going with it. My main thing, you earned your uniform, I earned mine, and if he earned his uniform, kudos to him. My own thing is, why does he have to be all secret about hiding his maternal last name? Everything, like my last name is Frank, but because I don't have a maternal last name, they would often use my middle name as my first last name, and then my paternal last name, like you probably got too, because that's how we do it here, is my second last name. And Gafe 423, Ed Calderon, none of these guys will put out any of this information. And like I just called you up, I give you my first and my last name. You can start digging on me all you want. Why these guys don't want to dispel or dispense any of that information is beyond me.
Oh, I'll tell you exactly why, my son. Do you know why? Really?
Why?
It's all about money.
Oh, 100%.
They've invested in this guy. You have Ernest Emerson made the Elvia folder from him. You have Copus Design Knives that made the Elvia because of him. You have Rick Lala in Brazil who makes handmade blades, custom blades to Elvia for over $3,000. You can Google that and find out for yourself. So these guys have all invested in him, and they're going to look like fools if they come out and say he's not what he is. Ernest Emerson, I mean, he's well known in the Special Forces community. So
100%.
And then you have Scott Babb with Libre, and he's probably pissed because I studied him, because I do martial arts like you. I study it, and I watch what he does, and he made the point of saying, we don't let anybody go into our dojo. We have to check them out first because we don't want to teach this to criminals.
Right.
Well, he didn't obviously vet this clown because all of a sudden he shows up, and now he's training him and makes him an instructor. So
Well,
you see, all these people will have egg on their faces if you expose this guy.
100%. And like, I've been pretty candid. I was a shitbag when I was younger. I really was. Until I didn't wind up in the military in this country. It took me a long time to turn my life around and get everything sorted out. But you sort things out, you correct course, and you move on. And if this guy is making lies or not being transparent about who he is, I have an issue with it because I went down to enlist in this country and protect our way of life 7 times. They didn't let me join, but that's still... It means that I have the basic belief that I like the way that we do things in this country, and you have to be honorable. And if he's lying to everyone that's watching him, lying to our military and our police forces, that needs to be exposed and corrected.
Well, think of it. He actually, Tops Knives also has the El Pionero, and he was on with the Tops guy on Blade Show or something, and they, talking about they designed this knife for him where he put the divot in it because his mother used to process the meat. That's how we learned how to cut things. And,
right.
And she put the divot so it makes it easier for her to hang on to the knife. And she used it allegedly on a family member who was assaulting somebody. I don't know, some shit like that. But
damn.
The reason why you probably can't find a military card on this guy in Mexico because he's an American citizen.
100%. I've had people looking. I've had people looking for stuff on this guy. And the thing my biggest thing, my wife's a journalist. She used to be a journalist for Televisa. And
no kidding.
Yeah, she interviewed the Dalai Lama. She's interviewed Osorio Chung. All of her friends are journalists. And so in Mexico, we don't really like journalists if you're carrying a weapon for a living. We don't like it. So one of the first things that we'll say when something happens is like, I don't know, desconozco, or go ask my commander. Journalists, on the other hand, they ask every single question in the book. I can't take my wife to the bar without her asking 15 questions before we get in the car. And what's curious to me is if I do have the background that I got and I can prove it, and these guys do have their YouTube channels, just the radio silence that I get when I prove that I am who I say I am, and no one is even interested at all, just it starts setting off flags like they're trying to cover something up. And I think that you're right. I think it's about money, and not just knives, but also government contracts with training, law enforcement, or military agencies.
I mean, think like Sean Ryan. Now, Sean's legit, and he's a SEAL and an operator, and he's proven that.
100%.
So, think how he must feel right now, because Ed was on his show, and I think it was his show. He alluded that American SEAL Special Forces had to help him get to America because they were going to kill him if he didn't leave.
Right.
So, like, okay, so you're afraid of the cartel, which is the most powerful criminal enterprise in the world, but you're all over YouTube.
100 fucking, excuse the language, but exactly. Not only is he all over YouTube, but he goes back to live in Tijuana, talking and doing podcasts with Fernando Puentes, who admits to being a cartel drug dealer and admits to having Sicario, cartel assassin friends. And then Ed's doing podcasts with this dude in the same place where he used to work and against the same people that he used to hunt, supposedly. It makes no sense.
That's like me sitting down with Latin Kings, and we're going to have a little powwow just to hang out and see how I'm doing.
100%. I used to live in Brooklyn, so I know all about Latin Kings. Exactly my point. No one would do that.
No, and I'm surprised like Sean didn't vet him because I I don't understand. I know. See, that he got his break on Joe Rogan. I think that's what you had said.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan podcast has got like 9.7 million views or something. It just blew up.
Right. And you think that, I think Sean would be the one to actually have you on the show, because he's the type of stand-up guy say, hey, listen, if I was bamboozled on my show and I have veterans that I help for a living, I can't let this stand either. But my point is this, and you really caught my eye when I was watching when you had your credentials. I could show my credentials and show who I was. Any police officer, a federal agent, even CIA, and because they're listening right now. Hope they're doing okay.
I know they are.
Even them, they have IDs that you can easily show who you are.
Exactly.
The fact that you don't show anything, that's a fraud. Because if you would accuse me and say, "Oh, you're full of shit," if I was him, let's say I was him, and you're like, "Oh, he's fuck Mike, he's full of shit. He didn't do nothing." I'd be like, "Hey, asshole, here's my credentials."
Exactly.
Talk to this guy. Call a station.
Well, 100%. You got that. Call the station is exactly correct, because I just interviewed one of my brothers that was in my platoon. He's got none of his old co-workers, aside from Lieutenant Colonel Lezola Perez, who was changed positions 3 or 4 times during the course of Ed's career, if he was doing what he said that he did. And the guy went from academy instructor to, it jumps all over, to in charge of state police, to in charge of Tijuana Municipal Police, to in charge of Ciudad Juarez Municipal Police. And then Ed's like saying he's going on all these high-speed missions. I'd love to have 15 minutes or a half hour with Ed so we could just straighten this all out. And then everyone goes on their happy way, and we know that we're not being fed a bunch of bullshit. So,
but see, they can't do that, because now you've got the pride issue on the podcasters. You've got the money issue, like I said and you said, about the knives and the trainings that he does, these urban environment shit.
Right.
And I saw on Reddit one thing that I guess some guy went to his class and criticized him because he was handling the weapon wrong. So he cut him off or whatever. He blocked them. And then another guy, they did an urban environment where he said, go out into the streets and go steal windshield wipers off of cars. And so you can make a lockpick out of it. And the guy's like, that's a felony in the state.
100%.
You can't go breaking shit off of people's cars. And then I guess he made them pay more beer money at the end because some of the people did not do it. I'm like, if I want to train you, I'll be like, okay, I'll go to Walmart, buy a bunch of shitty, cheap windshield wipers, throw them on the ground, and say, this is how you do it.
You're already making $120, $200 per person per day anyways. You can easily afford it.
Right. You supply your own supplies to your people. You don't have them steal off of somebody else's car. Like, what is wrong with you? So, I don't know.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. Hey, I got to ask, because you're in Massachusetts. I want to know, is it okay if I use this phone call on my phone records stuff, but I want to know if it's okay if I use this phone call on a episode coming up.
Sure.
Okay. I appreciate that. Mike, because here's the thing. I've never worked a day in Massachusetts, but I worked for years in Mexico, and I know that no matter who you are, no matter where you're at, when you get a uniform and you earned it, because they don't just give them out, and then you put it on and you go to work every single day knowing that that might be your last day because you stand for something, to have someone come along and just sully it or tarnish that, it's irritating to me, and it's like an itch, and I got to scratch it, and I can't let it go, man.
I would just say that you would think the places that he's going, they would want some kind of verification of who you are. Like, why would you just take someone's word for that?
Exactly. I mean, I just had Mark Gagnon in my home over the course of 2 to 3 days. And the first thing that I did, I keep all of my stuff, all my credentials. I got a great big file full of it. Of all of in Mexico, they call it solicitud de empleo. Your application, the very first documents that you turn in, the documents that I had when I went to the psychological testing, C4, pictures of all of it, pictures of my credentials, my order letter, because in Mexico we get what's called a Carta de Comisión that says who you are, who you work for, what weapons you carry, what the serial numbers are, who you're directly responsible to, and the territory or limits of your jurisdiction. And I've got all that stuff. And the first thing that I did when Mark Gagnon and his guys got here was pull that out and show it to them. And I've even posted pictures of it in some of the videos so people know that you're legit, like with your credentials. You got to do it. I've never seen any video in any of the podcasts or anything that Ed's done where he's done that. Not once.
See, that doesn't make sense. And you can't say it's because of secrecy, because your face is all over YouTube.
Right, 100%. Well, then I've got, because Ed started posting on a forum called Mexico Armada in late 2010, early 2011. And he stated that he was trained by Travis Haley, who is a MARSOC Marine, legit badass, has security companies here in the United States, a couple of them. In fact, he emailed me back initially when he thought that it was going to be a sell. I haven't heard anything since, once I told him that I wanted to verify that he trained Ed. But it's weird to me that Ed could get in with all these circles of people, not have to validate who he is publicly, because it's not about security, like you said. He's all over the news. Millions and millions of views. Just between Joe Rogan and Sean Ryan, there's over 12 million views on just those three, because there was 2 Joe Rogan interviews, 1 Sean Ryan. Just between those 3, there's more than 12 million views. So nothing's about security at this point. And Travis Haley hits me up with an ITAR, International Trafficking and Arms Regulation thing on his email, so I can't even screenshot the email, asking legitimate questions. I even hit up the Navy.mil. I hit up the Navy directly about anything to do with Ed, and they can't say that it's about secrecy either if they're training municipal or state police in Baja California at a SEAL base in Coronado Island. So there's just
so did you contact those state police and those police departments? I
did call. Actually, I got a video somewhere where I actually recorded the phone call calling them up. The problem with the Baja California State Police is this. This is currently the 3rd generation of it. So a lot of the people that were there at the time Ed was there are no longer there. Not only are they not there anymore, it's not even the original corporation. It's not the second corporation. It's now the 3rd form of the Baja California State Police. And in addition to that, he has family members that do work there. So who's to say if it's Ed in particular? Because we don't even have his first name, his middle name is Ed, his first name, or his middle name. We only have one of his last names, and really you would have to have 3 out of his 4 names to even get a good idea whether he's working there. Because I called their human resources department. I have it on video somewhere. And you can't get anywhere with it because of those 3 things.
Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words, so send a picture of the dude.
It is. You know what? I need to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more. And I'll be the first to admit that if I am wrong, I will publicly apologize in front of everybody that, hey, I was wrong, but I had to know, and this is why I did what I did. There's no malice or ill will intended towards anybody. I just want to know that we're being told the truth. That's it. Nothing else.
Well, I just go back to that thing you put on your site where it was the guy with the security company and he wanted to wear a tactical vest, and that's when I believe that's when he was fired or something, because something with a vest he wanted to wear, they wouldn't let him wear a vest.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that some more.
Yeah, you had it on your thing, one of your episodes.
I went down that. I'm going to try to locate who that is, because in California, if he's got his own security company, 1,000%, I can localize it to the Imperial Beach, San Diego area. I just pull up everyone that was licensed for a security company during that time.
And the other thing you could do is registry of motor vehicles as public record.
Okay.
You can also, the best way is to find out if you have contacts with a reporter, investigative reporter, and say, hey, you know, if they start looking into it.
I can do that too. I don't have a contact with a reporter in the States, but I can definitely find one. Because there's a story here. I know there is.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, and like I said, I just want to talk to you because you did hit a nerve, and I'm like, you know what? That doesn't make sense. Like, why wouldn't he show? I got to show ID for everything, and you got to show ID for everything.
100%.
If I walked into a place over here and said, you know, I'm so and so, and I'm a cop, whatever, I'm retired, whatever, and they're like, okay, yeah, okay, and what? So what? Who are you? Do you have any ID on you?
Exactly. Everything that we do in society is contingent upon us identifying who we are. I just did a credit card purchase just this morning, and I had to pull out my ID.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's an official ID. You can't fake it. So I mean, I don't understand. But again, I still think it comes down to the money issue and maybe the embarrassing issue of they don't want to admit something could be over here because they're all over the place with this guy.
I think that's the biggest part of it. I looked up Elvia Limited's office manager. She was in San Francisco. And if memory serves me correctly, she was pulling down about $1 million per year. Something like that. Yeah, it was a ridiculous amount of money. And hey, I grew up Christian, going to church. My mama and my grandmother schooled me correctly. I am not envious of people when they're successful. I'm just saying that there's a lot of money involved, but that being the case, I think the bigger thing would be the embarrassment issue of so many people having been snowed. Because I just had something else interesting pop up. I've got like 4 or 5 emails because of my YouTube channel. So, and I program and I code for a living. That's what I do now. So,
well, look at it this way. This is the classic example, okay? You've trained in martial arts. I've trained in martial arts, right? Now,
right.
If you want to get your business going, if you're going to, what do you have background? Oh, I was a security guard who was unarmed, and I drove around checking on houses at night. Versus, I was a high-speed operator that I can't tell you about because, you know, who are they going to hire?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly correct. They're definitely hiring the guy that was the high-speed operator.
Yeah,
all
I
day,
mean, even
every
what do you
time.
call like the guy who graduates last in his class from law school or med school? What do you call him? An attorney or a doctor?
Right.
So, I don't know. I think you're onto something with them. I obviously watch your channel, but it's only going to take one break for you, for some person to come forward, if you get an investigative reporter, to someone who can go down there with credentials and say, hey, does this guy have a license? Because, you know, I mean, if he's an American citizen, then he couldn't have done the stuff that he said he did in Mexico.
Right. Well, here's something else, too. When I was working, here's one other thing, Mike. When I was working, we got a total of 17 hours off per week. We lived at base. We never, ever, ever got vacation or something like that. So the way that Ed says that he's working for Osorio Milan, the ex-governor of Baja California, doing his security detail, and then he's got time to be all over the Mexican country, which is pretty big. It's like the equivalent of driving from Oklahoma to New York to go do his knife seminars in Mexico City from where he was at in Tijuana, or him going from Tijuana all the way up to Chicago to do knife seminars while he's still working, apparently, because he's doing this like in 2011 through 2014 to 2015, and then later, obviously. How did he get the time off work? Because no governor is going to go without members of his security detail.
You're right.
Not going to happen.
Right, especially in Mexico.
Right, no way. They kill politicians in Mexico like flies. It happens, and it's going to continue happening. And so the way that this guy says that he's doing VIP executive security, but then he's up training with, even if he wasn't doing seminars, he's up training in San Diego, going to and from. There's no way that any politician or military general is going to put up with that. Here's just something that a lot of people don't know. When I worked for my general, there was only 2 platoons of us. And the reason why there's only 2 platoons of us and the reason why we only got 17 hours off per week is because we were trusted with all the details of his movements, who, what, where, when, why, and how, and they wanted to limit exposure to that, so we were forced to work extra long hours in order to make sure that we had OPSEC, PERSEC, all of it. And there was no way our general was going to authorize us running all over the country or to other countries, or even other countries to go train with who knows who at whatever our wishes were. We're there at work, in duty, on service, 24/7. So how Ed did that? It's a big question.
He's got a twin brother.
It's got to be something. It's got to be that, or he's a security guard guarding laundromats in Imperial Beach, San Diego. Something.
Yeah, I'll go with that second one for 500.
I think so. Hey, brother, I appreciate the feedback. Let me get going on some of this because I want to put some of this into play. I got to run off to work too in a little bit.
Yeah,
but
my pleasure, bro.
What's that?
It's my pleasure. You take care and good luck.
You too. And hey, anytime you want to talk or whatever, reach out, hit me up, and I'm gonna send you an email with my number, so you got my personal phone.
Sounds good, my friend.
All right, brother. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.